Mr. Mike Greene, we've been coming to see you since 2008, we were saying before this.
2000, it's been a while.
It's been a while. Realitone.
A lot of brownies eaten.
A lot of brownies, yeah. I always come here for the brownies. And Realitone makes some cool products, and you're always good fun to interview, so that's the main thing.
It's even more fun for me when you come by.
Oh man, this
Sonicstate, who doesn't love Sonicstate?
Well, you're probably wrong, but you know, thank you. So, you're working on a new project, right?
That's right. We recorded chamber strings. We went to Ocean Way recording in Hollywood. It's now called United, same studio. We recorded a chamber string section, 14 strings altogether, violins, violas, cello, and basses. And we wanted to make a textural, soft strings kind of library with a number of extra little quirks and some aleatoric sorts of things to spice it up and basically make film scoring, especially applications, a little bit easier. And in my opinion, sound a little bit better.
So your stuff is contact-based, isn't it? So
it is. This is a contact library. It'll be on the contact player, NKS and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I'm just a bit, because your background is media composition. So do you, amongst other things, so do you, I mean, have you used lots of string sections? Do you know, I mean, because it's tough to get the best out of these guys.
Yes. I mean, I use myself, I use VSL, I use Cinesamples, I use orchestral tools, I use Spitfire, all these different libraries in the course of my composing, but you know, they basically all sound like crap, so I figured I have to do this. May or may not keep that take. But that's just a joke. They are good libraries. They truly are. That was a joke. But
so do you? I mean, do you hanker after things that aren't quite the way you want them? Is that
yes.
What is it?
Yeah. What happens is, you know, you'll be playing with the things, and I mean, most of these companies are run by composers like myself. I mean, these guys made their libraries because they thought, you know what, somebody really makes it do it, so it does this. And that's what I wanted to do with this, is especially in this particular thing, I wanted to make it so it's easier to go from something that's, you know, one articulation into another, and plus that has just the tone. I mean, there's sometimes you just play something. Like, for instance, what this is a Sultasto patch that we have here is...
That's nice. Is that only 14 players?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, it's 14 players, but remember, it's, you know, when I play that note there, that's going to be a number of players. I mean, only the cellos and the basses and the violas are down there, but so it adds up to more than that when you play the chords, which is why a chamber-sized section actually turns out to work really well for these sorts of things, because you are going to play chords and that sort of thing. But we've got a whole bunch of articulations on here. We've got you know, that's Sultastos, and we've got normals, we've got, here's a quarter tone vibrato. So, you know, we included that for the people so they could be reminiscent of what their other string libraries think an in-tune sample is. More jokes. We've also got, well, some fun stuff like finger trills. And when we did our finger trills, you've got a choice between semitone or whole tone or minor third or major third. The major third, I mean, minor thirds and major thirds you don't usually find. I don't know that you actually ever find them. But
that's an unusual sound, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, more typical is like just a semitone, a half step. That's a more typical finger trill kind of thing, you know, when they're doing this thing here. But you know, we wanted to go a little bit further, and we're also going to script this. This thing's not ready for release. We're still coding it. But we're going to script it so that when you play the chord, then it intelligently figures out what interval you want to go. So for instance, if you're playing a C major chord triad like this, you want that to trill to a third, you want this one to trill to a fourth or to a second,
otherwise
depending on what
it'll be really crap.
Right,
yeah.
Right. So let me show you another articulation. There was a film called Jackie. I wish I could remember the name of the composer. Hopefully she won't mind if I play this, but it did this. It was just this effect that's just, I heard that and I thought, wow, I wish there was a library that would do that. So there will be. But we also then went a step further and we can add releases. So in this particular case, I'm going to change this release and I'm going to go to the slow bend down. And that one went up, so I'm going to go down 2 steps, going to be fairly slow, so it'll be, oops, I let off too soon. So I'm going to go.
Okay, so you can, yeah, I see what you mean.
It's just fun stuff like that I'm going to play. I'll play you some other stuff that does the releases. I'll just go to straight normal, and we'll do something that's a little bit quicker. We could do the same slow bend. I could go, or I'm going to try another one. I'll just do a quicker one, like maybe a fifth up, or we could do a fourth down, or we could do scatter. We have other ones besides here. We just haven't put them in yet. But here's scatter. So I'll just play a note. So all the strings go in different directions.
So I'm curious, I mean, as a composer, you have to think visually a lot of the time because you're working to picture, I'm guessing, much of the time, or have done when you do media stuff. I mean, have you got kind of scene applications and imagery in your mind when you're describing what you want the orchestra to play or the strings to play as to what kind of picture that might suit, or are you?
I'm reluctant to actually name specific kinds of styles because then I don't want to limit things, but this is intended to be things that are for dramatic sorts of scenes. I mean, it will also, I'll show you in a little bit how it can work for even horror kinds of things.
Yeah.
But this is definitely a softer kind of thing. This is not intended to be an epic action kind of library. It's intended for emotional things where you want to set a scene, and it's basically drama.
Okay.
The various aspects of drama. Although, even though I just said that this is not an epic kind of, bombastic kind of thing, I am going to show you one thing where we just had that scatter thing where you hold a note and then they go like that. Well, we did one with a longer one in reverse, and then you can get this.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, and then I left the release on, so now it's releasing the same thing.
Wow, that's kind of wonky, but I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you're doing demos at NAMM and you're not as careful as you should be about, turning buttons.
It's a
and stuff
cautionary
on and
tale
off.
for the
It's
kids
a
out there.
Yes, don't do this without practice, folks, and this is what happens when you don't practice enough. But another thing that you can do with this is I'm going to show you, we recorded them doing lots of different odd things. So far we've played fairly standard things. But we record them playing in the add-on category. One of these things is Ricochet, and that's what we're going to play here. And what it is it's a ricochet is just where they bounce their bow on the string, like that. And we can make it so it happens a bunch of them. And then at various speeds, we can now layer that with a sustain, so it's...
That's interesting. It's kind of it's got almost a brassy vibe to it as well. It's kind of curious.
It does. And there are other ones that we did too. I'm going to take out the sustain articulation and I'll play, this one will be sudden swell. So it's doing the same concept where they go ring, ring, and it's just the different players and you can adjust the speed of how fast they do it. Turn that down a little bit. Increase the intensities. That's me.
Driving a bit hard there.
No, that was me.
Okay. It's not in the samples, folks.
Right. So. You know what? Let me turn that way down. This particular articulation, I don't know how it got that loud.
Oh, that's nice. I'm already visualizing the scene.
Exactly.
It's one of those. It's an uncomfortable Victorian ghost story with moonlight coming through, like maybe a trellised window in a remote country house.
The real purpose of this library is that movie.
Okay.
We are trying to write the script to do exactly that. We heard the sound and we decided, you know what? Let's write that script. And you pretty much stole. I don't know how you got that idea. But you got it.
I mean, if you're in Hollywood, right? So therefore, surely what the total package is to write the screenplay, then produce the sample library that creates the score that you also produce, right?
You know, you're a slacker if you don't at least do that much. Here's another one. You can do harmonics, and then you do like random bow arpeggiations where you do that kind of thing. So it's, you're going to bring that.
That's really interesting. And this is quite dry, isn't it? You're not smothering it in effects or anything.
You know what? Somebody turned down the reverb on here.
No, but it still sounds nice. I mean, that's
thank
the
you.
thing. It's got you can hear that. You can hear it properly.
Yeah. Actually, this is less reverb than I'm now noticing. The reverb knob is lower than I would normally use. I'm going to leave it there though, just because we want you to see how this is recorded. And Ocean Way or United is it's a large room. Yeah. It cost a few bucks, but it's not a real reverberant room. It's not like Air Studios or something like that, which is a great sounding room and everything, but we wanted something where you have more control where you do this. Now, on the interface, one of the things that we wanted to accomplish is, for those people familiar with like Spitfire Evos, is we wanted to also make it have multiple zones. So you could then set, have different articulations for each of the different zones. We're going to go up to 10 or 12 different zones. Right now we only have 4 up there. And then also you can turn off the cello and the violas and the basses. We call them high strings, even though a cello is not a high string. And you can turn the basses on or off. You can also switch the octave of the basses and switch the volume dynamics of how the basses work. And then we have 2 layers here, layers 1 and layer 2. And with those layers, with the mod wheel, you can go back and forth between one or the other. So you would be able to make something where you have a basic sul tasto articulation and maybe it goes into one of the more aleatoric kinds of things to bring in the drama, or you walk into the ghosty room and bring that up. I can't show that right now. We haven't finished that part of the coding. We've got another few months to go on this. We hope to release in spring of 2020. I'm pretty optimistic we'll be able to do that. This will be an NKS contact player library. And it's available at realitone.com, or it will be available at realitone.com, where so many fine libraries exist.
Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick. It's always a pleasure.